China is laying the groundwork for first strike, nuclear strike on the United States. I'm not making that up. I wish I didn't have to tell you that. But there's a growing body of evidence that China is preparing first strike capabilities. That is, a nuclear strike on the United States to wipe out our ability to respond with nuclear weapons. In addition, they've been invading our infrastructure to be able to shut us down whenever they want, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Many of our elite in this country and many of the technocrats and experts within the intelligence community for a long time said there was no way China would do this. If we incorporated China into the international community, China would be at peace with us, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They got it all wrong. Many of the people who are leading experts on diseases got a lot wrong on COVID. Some of it they got right, and some people mischaracterized it as wrong, and it was right. Some of it was wrong. Some of it changed over time because it's a virus that mutated, and some people want to bind them to their prior statements, irrespective of how the virus mutated. And some of the public health experts have refused to acknowledge they were wrong at other times. Dr. Fauci being a great example of this. They got stuff wrong. A lot of people, if you will recall in the first Trump term, insisted that if we moved our embassy to Jerusalem, massive war would break out of the Middle East, and it didn't happen. In fact, war didn't break out of the Middle East until Hamas decided to invade Israel on October 7th. And the Biden administration decided if they responded aggressively, it would broaden the war, and what happened is their failure to respond aggressively broadened the war. The experts got it wrong. The groupthink in Washington, D.C. got it wrong. And that groupthink in Washington, D.C. is bipartisan. It's not just Democrats. Republicans and Democrats alike embrace a level of groupthink in D.C. that can be deeply destructive. So what's coming into disruption? Let me give you a very basic example of that disruption: tariffs. I oppose tariffs. And just follow along with me here, whether you agree with me or not. Be mature enough to listen to the point I'm about to make that you will agree with, even though you got to suffer through the stuff that makes you mad. I don't think tariffs work. I think tariffs were a product of a pre-industrial age by and large, and that in an industrial scale with global trade, tariffs don't work, and there's no way we're going to unplug ourselves from global commitments in trade. And we shouldn't. It would be bad for us and raise our costs. And what tariffs will do is tariffs raise our costs. Tariffs are not paid by the country we're imposing a tariff on. Tariffs are paid by American citizens whose cost to buy those goods goes up. So, for example, you want to restart manufacturing inside the United States, so you apply tariffs of 20% everywhere. Well, your cost is going to go up by 20% or 15%. Maybe not go up 100% the cost of tariffs, but your costs are definitely going to go up. So maybe you can now manufacture a shirt in this country cheaper than you can in Vietnam, but that shirt that you manufacture here is still going to be more expensive than the shirt manufactured in Vietnam before tariffs. So American consumers are going to have less money. It is inflationary. I think it's bad for the economy, and I think it will hurt the economy. That's my view. Donald Trump, however, believes tariffs are a good thing and that tariffs can rebuild an industrial base and a manufacturing base in the United States. I think he's wrong. I think that an industrial base in the United States, for national security reasons, we need some of it, but oftentimes we can outsource to countries that are our allies and get things cheaper. Nonetheless, the experts have been so wrong for so long on so many things. Donald Trump wants to try out these experts as well. And you can't blame him. And in that regard, I don't. I think he's wrong. I think very quickly he'll realize it's a problem and he'll have to change tactics. But you also can understand that the experts have been so wrong on so many things. He wants to see if the experts are wrong on this as well. This is what the disruption is about. Or Kash Patel at the FBI. He's going to get confirmed. And Kash Patel at the FBI is going to be a great disruptor at a time the FBI needs disruption. The FBI spent far more resources hunting down people who were involved in January 6th than they did potential terrorists inside the United States, and they know they're here. The FBI director has warned repeatedly, we've probably got sleeper cells in this country. He said it softly so the Democrats and the media didn't have to pay attention to it, and many of them denied it. Many of them said it wasn't so, but Christopher Wray has warned there are probably terrorists in this country right now meaning us harm, and the Democrats, because they needed to protect Joe Biden, denied it. And then the FBI itself spent way more resources on January 6 targets than they did those sleeper cell terrorists. Kash Patel is going to be a disruptor. So much of the conversation that's going to be had in Washington in the media over the next few weeks and over the next few months and probably the next couple of years is going to be this. Donald Trump is bad because he's doing things the way they're not supposed to be done. And this gets back to a point I made a couple of times on the program about shattered norms. When Democrats in the press talk about the norms in Washington, D.C., what they are talking about are those institutions, rules, and ways of doing things put in place by Democrats to protect their power. And anytime a Republican comes into power and decides to do different, they're shattering a norm. And Donald Trump is a shatterer of all sorts of bipartisan norms. And all I can say is I'm willing to give the guy a chance. I had a lady on Twitter yesterday. I noted yesterday would have been Rush Limbaugh's 74th birthday. Before I was someone on radio, Rush Limbaugh was a friend of mine. I knew Rush. I thought very highly of him. He was a mentor of mine. He helped me find my radio agent. He helped me with contract issues. He helped me develop my syndicated show. I relied on him tremendously. And yesterday was his birthday, and I still miss him, as I expect most of you. And a lady on Twitter replied, I just can't listen. I listen to Rush all the time, but I can't listen to Erickson because ever since he decided he didn't like Donald Trump in 2016, look, I don't want to be everybody's cup of tea. Nope, I didn't like Trump in 2016, didn't support him in 2016, said I'd support him in 2020 and 2024. Some people can't get over it. Anything they say anytime I have a criticism is Trump derangement syndrome, Trump derangement syndrome, a term of art that I think I'm one of the very first people in America to have used that and coming up with the term never Trump. And it's funny to hear them thrown against me by people who don't listen to the show and admit they don't listen to the show, of how often, as much I might criticize any Republican, and I criticize all the Republicans, even friends of mine, I'm also willing to defend them. And here I am willing to defend the guy this woman thinks I have Trump derangement syndrome on and can never say anything nice about. Actually, I think we should give him a chance to disrupt, because so many of the experts for so long have gotten so many things wrong, and a herd mentality takes over. And one of the things that I do admire about Donald Trump is he marches to the beat of his own drummer. Too many people in Washington, D.C., on both sides of the aisle, get conventional wisdom and embrace conventional wisdom. And with the embrace of that conventional wisdom, they all kind of think the same thing. And a lot of those things have put us in a far more dangerous position because of China. A lot of those things have put Israel in a dangerous position. A lot of those things have put your pocketbook in a dangerous position. It was Democrats and Republicans alike who decided to spend massive amounts of money in Washington, not just Democrats. Democrats just decided to go for broke. And they broke us, as a matter of fact, in doing so. So give Donald Trump a chance to disrupt. Give his cabinet picks a chance to disrupt. I think what's going to happen is this. Trump has nothing left to prove to anybody. He's never going to run for president again, and he owes you exactly nothing at this point. But Trump wants a legacy. And my guess, for example, is that tariffs are going to hurt. And I think if tariffs do wind up hurting, if I'm right on this, he's going to undo them very quickly. He's going to be willing to pivot in another direction very quickly. It's what he does. And the media will scream and rail. But the reality is we will have a president of the United States in 7 days who is beholden to no one at this point, who can rethink how Washington works. Both sides have for so long thought of the ways in which Washington works, and they doubled down on stupid. And here comes a guy with great disruptor who is bringing in a bunch of outsiders to be his cabinet picks. Michael Waltz, for example, will be the incoming national security advisor and has told all the careerists, the Alexander Vidmans of the world, to get out by noon or 1 p.m. on January 20th. An hour after Donald Trump takes over, he says the careerists have to get out. Why? Because we saw the last time Trump was president, these careerists worked from within to try to undermine him. That's not going to happen this time. There'll probably be far less leaks this time, more loyalty this time, less axe grinding this time. We'll find out in a week. And we can be sure of one thing. The left will melt down yet again. The angry, angry left. There's just one big difference. This time, when the American left melts down over Donald Trump, they will be melting down against the vote most Americans cast for president. It was easy for them to melt down last time and say majority of people voted for Hillary Clinton. This time it's Donald Trump. When you oppose Donald Trump from the get-go, you're opposing the will of the American people at this point, which the left won't care about this time. They'll find some way to justify it, as will most of the media. Let Donald Trump disrupt. See what happens. I mean, what's going to happen at worst? We get pretty much what we've got right now. But maybe, just maybe, he can do something better with his disruption. I don't know, but I'm willing to see. At this point, you got no choice, people. He's going to be president of the United States, whether you like him or not. So give him a chance.